Okay, this topic just kind of just popped into my head, and I wanted to talk about it real quick. And it is in regards to kids and televisions and movies. Um, I've been thinking about whether or when is it time to allow your kids to really watch PG-13 type movies, that have adult situations in them. Um, we live in a society where it is very, very sexualized, and a lot of, of situations that are kind of, I guess, inappropriate for kids to really be thinking about and processing, you know, puts them in situations where they're giving voice about and or opinions about things that they don't really understand and know why um, those types of things are happening. But then again, I guess you could have them watch a movie or like that, or a TV show that has some situations that are kind of suggestive. Um, if you are willing to explain what's happening and what's going on the TV. I've, a preteen and one that just finished being preteen a little bit ago, and um, they have been exposed to a variety of different things related to television and movies. Some not my fault, some, can't say not my fault, but somewhere they were with other people and saw some things that I was not there in the room to see with them. But what I will say is that I guess it's more important to have those kind of conversations with your kid than it is to necessarily think about censoring them. Because a lot of the stuff that they see, not a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff that they see on TV is stuff that they've been hearing about for a very long time. They listen to what's going on with the parents, they hear stuff on the radio, they watch different commercials, they listen to other kids in their schools. And so they're seeing a lot of this stuff early on. So by the time it gets to you, by the time you hear it in passing conversations, they've already been processing it for a while. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I remember listening to fifth graders and sixth graders talking about stuff that we were talking about in high school. And when I say talking about stuff, I mean talking about stuff, and that, So, and this was more than 20 years ago. So I know now, obviously, that stuff is, it's rampant, and who's to say even, 40 years ago, if people weren't really talking about it, but then nobody really said anything, parents weren't around. Obviously, older kids aren't going to rat out younger kids just because they're having a conversation about, quote unquote, the birds and the bees and everything that goes on with that, So, I guess what is my takeaway here? My takeaway is that, parents need to spend time talking to the kids about the stuff that they are experiencing and they're seeing on TV and whatnot. Censorship is not necessary because I'm not saying that you need to force feed adult situations down their throat, but if you look at it, if you look at a show like Game of Thrones, when it harkens back to the days where people got married when they're young women or young girls or girls got married when they were 14 years old, and not to say that we need to go back to that time period, but adult situations creep on to a person as soon as they hit puberty. Now you're starting to have adult type situations. I guess we need to spend time talking to our children about those things and not lecturing, but explaining them. Being open to answering those questions, and not being naive as parents. do not be naive as a parent and think that your 11-year-old or your 10-year-old does not know anything about that stuff. They do. They're hearing about it and whatnot. So it's up to you as the guide, you know. And I think of parenting, especially from preteen on, as more of guide and mentorship, as opposed to authoritarian uh, um, parenting, you know, authoritarian position. Um, because if you guide your children and you know allow them to be able to make critical thinking decisions, and give them a framework which to work with to make those decisions, but you know have those conversations with them, then they're more likely to, when they get older, they won't turn crazy, you know, and just be all out there trying to do and experience different things. That's a little far out for them, but you know, and that kind of sparks me to an idea about personality types and whatnot, but this is not really the forum for that. So um, that's all I have, and listen to your kids, talk to them about stuff that they're seeing on TV. Don't lecture, but talk.